You may have seen this. So on 26 December, Mao Zedong's birthday, and this was very deliberate. You know, nothing happens in China on social media. These are all lifted out of Chinese social media. Nothing happens. Not one, but two new aircraft were revealed, were flown. The U.S. hasn't officially designated the one on the right yet. It's right there, Chinese, or the Chengdu Aircraft Corporation, CAC. The pundits are calling it the JH-36 because the tail number has a 36 on it, and it follows the J-35. But China is, they are rapidly modernizing. Next slide. December was also an eventful time. So, middle of December, there was a unannounced PLA-N, People Liberation Army Navy exercise that completely encircled the. This is the largest exercise, naval exercise, probably since the end of World War II. It was 3 times by number of ships than what RIMPAC is, our big exercise. Now, when we do RIMPAC, we actually announce it well in advance because we don't want to inadvertently start a war. China just did this. In fact, it wasn't necessarily obvious that they were doing an exercise. They encircled the island. They set up these walls out to the first island chain. They did mock attacks of both aircraft coming inbound to China as well as attacking ships within this area, doing mock attacks without telling the world that they were just doing an exercise. It could have been the preamble to an invasion. That's uncertainty. That's risk. Earlier in December, the U.S. acknowledged Salt Typhoon, a persistent Chinese cyber espionage. We've already known about, and we've talked in this forum, about Volt Typhoon, all the Chinese malware that is in our critical infrastructure. So a lot of our grid, electrical infrastructure, water, transportation systems, the SCADA systems that control those. There's a lot of Chinese malware on those. Salt Typhoon has been going on for about 4 years. There are at least a dozen now telecom companies that have been acknowledged, have been infected, and we can't actually get them out. They have root authority on the servers, and it appears that what they are targeting, and this is all open source, I'm not revealing anything, it appears that what they are targeting is our senior government officials and all the networks. So they have downloaded every single person that President-elect Trump has called in the last 4 years. AT&T is one of the companies. Verizon is one of the companies. Guess what? Our government phones, mine's there in the back. They have a record. The PLA, the CCP, now knows who my government phone has talked to for at least the last 4 years, and they're still there and we can't get them out. That's uncertainty. That's risk. It is a very, very dangerous world right now. Next slide. The pace of modernization that the PLA is going through. This is the current as of March 23. So a year ago. I guess almost 2 years ago now. It's 2025. How about that? Go ahead and go to the next slide. And go back one for me. And go forward one. And do it one more time. The pace of modernization that the PLA is going through is unprecedented. It is far outpacing what we are doing. We are the smallest and oldest that we have ever been. The Chinese, the PLA, is the largest and most modern that it has ever been. That is risk. That is uncertainty. And that's why what we are doing here at Edwards Air Force Base is extremely important, because we are, go ahead and go to the next slide. We are here at Edwards developing and modernizing and doing those things that will change Chairman Xi's calculus about starting World War III. We cannot afford to have to take a step backwards because we have a mishap. Our mission is too important. And China's doing it right now too. So let's go ahead and take a journey. So this is Edwards Air Force Base. Go ahead and advance for me. China also has an Edwards Air Force Base. And so we'll take a journey across the globe. Dingjin Air Force Base out in the Gobi Desert. They picked a desert just like we did. And so up there in the Gobi Desert, and there it is. Our runway is longer here, I have to say. We got 1,000 feet on what they have, and we have a lot more runways too, with almost 69 miles of runways. This is their newest runway here. They're doing a lot of drone and kind of what we are calling the combat collaborative aircraft development. This is where a lot of those hangars where a lot of that stuff is coming from. This is also located adjacent to missile ranges and satellite launching and anti-satellite ranges as well. They also, go ahead and build for me. Look right here. Go ahead and build. So that's 4 miles away from the main runway. Taichung International Airport is in northwest Taiwan. Do we think we know what they're doing? What they're planning? Have you changed? So Chief and I, when we flipped the coin and we looked at it, we were able to update our probabilities based on what we knew. Based on what you know now, can you update your assessment of the risk to the world and how important our mission is? This is not the only thing they're planning, and I think they know that we have satellites. Go ahead and go to the next slide for me. So in the desert, about 300 miles away, further to the west in the Gobi Desert, so just north of that Dingjin Army Airfield, they actually have places where they can launch ballistic missiles, about 300 miles away. They have this in the Gobi Desert. There's actually a couple targets like that. Some of them have radar reflectors, so they actually look like a carrier, the Gerald Ford, for a ballistic missile that's coming back in and has to discriminate, a target. They also have destroyers. They have destroyers actually on rails that go across the desert. It's fun going and actually it's not fun. It's easy in Google Earth to go in there. It's actually a little bit scary. I'll give you the coordinates if you want. You can just play around in Google Earth. You can look at this. The rail tracks are taking evasive action, so the missiles can actually be tested. What is the destroyer doing as it's weaving through the ocean? You can look at the radius and curvature of those railroad tracks. You want to update your probabilities about the risk to the world? Next slide. That's why we're doing this. This is one of the many, many things that you are working on right here that will change Chairman Xi's calculus about our readiness and change his incentives about whether or not today is the day to start World War III. We cannot afford to have the B-21 take a step back